Hi everyone, Dr. Sam Gaston here at North Texas Sport and Spine, and today we're continuing our exercise series this month on common exercises that can be done incorrectly and how we can replace them with better exercises. So today we're going to focus on the sit-up. It's one of the more common ab exercises. It's probably the first one that people learn, and it's been around for a long time. But the issue we run into with the sit-up is the position it puts not only your low back in, but also your neck. So when you're doing a true sit-up, you're curling all the way up, trying to bring the arms up to the bent knees. That can put a lot of flexion into the low back. So if you have any sort of disc issue, when you get a herniated disc, it's typically going to go either posterior or posterior lateral. When you get into that hard flexion, it's going to wedge the disc in that backward direction. So if there is an issue, a bulge or herniation, it's definitely going to put more pressure on that, which is something we don't like. And then in an effort to bring the elbows all the way up, a lot of times people put their hands behind their neck, and they can, as things get harder, really crank and forward flex that neck, which again is another position we don't want. People spend a lot of time in their day-to-day life with the head flexed already, whether it's being on the computer, looking down at your phone, driving with the head forward. So anytime that we can avoid adding extra flexion there, especially with that the force of trying to pull with your arms to complete that rep, we want to avoid that. So with the sit-up, you're typically going to be predominantly working your rectus abdominis, which is the six-pack muscles that you'll see out there. But another issue that we run into with it is it's not a movement that you find yourself doing a lot in your day-to-day life. So it's an exercise that doesn't really strengthen in a way that's particularly useful. Yes, if you sit up and roll out of bed, you're going to do it that way, but we don't spend a ton of time in this movement throughout a regular day. So when we look to replace it, we want to try to replace it with something that duplicates more natural use of the core muscles. One of those will be the plank, which is just your basic, stabilization exercise, holding, maintaining. This is what we use our core for mostly throughout the day, stabilizing in a standing position, seated position, or movement-based position. So you want to be able to brace and stabilize hard there. Also rotational exercises where you're getting a strong base and then rotating against resistance with resistance. That's something that you'll actually do more in your everyday life. So we want to use those, cable type rotational exercises as a replacement. And then another one that gets often overlooked is your deep muscle, which is the transverse abdominis in there. That's an exercise or a muscle that we want to work. And a way you can do that effectively without any equipment is just sitting up or standing, pulling your belly button all the way toward the spine and trying to maintain that deep sucked in contraction there while you breathe underneath it, while you talk underneath it. And if you can do that for 15-20 seconds, then you're on the right track with that, because that's an exhausting exercise. So those are some options to replace the sit-up, and stay tuned as we'll go over some other exercises that can be replaced.